Good morning and happy Friday, friends. I'm so glad you decided to join me to get your day started with a biblical perspective here on A Moment with Hales. We are doing audio only today. So if you are on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, wherever, you're good to stay there. YouTube, sorry, it's just going to be my voice today. So we're going to be continuing with our Bible Life Hack series, and this is going to be a short and sweet episode, and we're going to hit 3 topics today. So let's jump right in. First, we're going to be talking about pride or boasting. So Proverbs 25:14 says, "Like clouds and wind without rain is the one who boasts of gifts never given." Proverbs 25:27 says, "It is not good to eat too much honey, nor is it honorable to search out matters that are too deep." This illustration demonstrates that there are clouds and winds, however, no rain or storm ever comes. This reveals an unrealized expectation. The elements get our attention but prove to be disappointing. The rain never falls, the lightning doesn't strike, and the thunder doesn't rumble. The promises of a boaster are like empty clouds without rain. Seeking and fishing for your own honor is dishonorable. Glory is good, but like honey, too much of a good thing becomes bad. So the takeaway here is never praise yourself. We tend to tell our life stories in a way that we're the heroes, or at least we were the one that were right. Subtle boasting is still based in pride. Praise should come from others and not ourselves. Psalm says, "The wicked in haughtiness does not seek him. There is no God in all his schemes." The proud are so consumed with themselves and their own thoughts that they are very far away from God. They are so filled with pride and what they can do and how they can provide for themselves. They live in a way that puts their reliance on themselves, and their reliance on the Lord is not even on their radar. In Matthew 5, Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." The poor in spirit are those who recognize their utter spiritual bankruptcy and their inability to come to God aside from His divine grace. The proud, on the other hand, are so blinded by their pride that they think they have no need for God, or worse, that God should accept them as they are because they deserve His acceptance. Ephesians 2 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith. This is not of yourselves, it is a gift of God, and not the result of work, so that one may boast." Even the best thing in life that we have, we cannot boast about it because we did nothing to deserve it. It is a gift for us, and we can only boast about what Jesus did. Secondly, let's talk about self-control. Proverbs 25:28 says, "Like a city that is broken and without walls, so is a person who has no self-control over his own spirit." The one who is vulnerable is the one without self-control. He has no defenses. The lesson we can apply here is that the undisciplined person is vulnerable when he walks into all kinds of trouble, because of course it's going to arrive at some point, destroying or decaying their lives. We should be developing the discipline of self-control so that we are able to deal with trouble, strife, anger, and conflict. Self-control is our defense against these situations. Proverbs 16:32 says, "He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit is better than the one who takes a city." It takes more strength or power to be slow to anger than overtaking a city. Let that sink in. Becoming slow to anger is a discipline. This is something that develops like a skill. It's cultivated, it's intentional, it's worked on. James put this into practical steps for us. It says, "You know this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Now everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For man's anger does not bring about the righteousness of God." So first, we should be quick to hear. We should be working on listening. How often do we listen for the sake of listening, not listening for the sake of cultivating our response? Then we will be slow to speak, and this will allow us to be slow to anger. James also talks about exercising self-control in our speech and how difficult it is. James 3 says, "For every species of beasts and birds, of reptiles and creatures of the sea is tamed and has been tamed by the human race. But no one can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil and full of deadly poison. Proverbs 18:21 puts it this way: the tongue has the power of life and death. The way we use our speech and words is a lifelong battle. We hold so much power in our words and speech, and unfortunately, our tongue is nearly impossible to tame, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't work on developing this skill. And to develop this skill in this lifelong battle, one of the best solutions is to pursue godly wisdom. Seek wisdom in Scripture. Put that on your heart and your mind so it's not only ready to be spoken on your tongue, but that your understanding of wisdom will be shown in your knowledge and your conduct. As you seek wisdom and make it a part of your heart and mind, you will naturally filter your actions through scriptural wisdom. Proverbs 21:23 says, whoever guards his mouth and his tongue keeps himself from trouble. Sometimes you just don't need to say what you want to say because it's going to save you a lot of trouble. We are responsible to develop the discipline of guarding our mouths. However, we do have supernatural help from the Holy Spirit. It's not just up to us, thank goodness. 2 Timothy says, for God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power and love and self-control. If you are struggling with your words, your speech, your tongue, or your anger, these things won't be addressed overnight. It's not going to be an overnight change. It's a discipline, friend. It's day by days. And sometimes I can say by experience, moment by moment. Start developing this skill now. Make it a priority and work on it daily. Bring it to the Lord in prayer. You may mess up sometimes. That's okay. It's a daily battle. It's a daily discipline you're developing. Start making changes in your life now to develop the discipline of taming your tongue for tomorrow. Now let's talk about laziness. Proverbs 26:13-16 says, a sluggard says, there is a lion in the road and a fierce lion roaming the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so a sluggard turns on his bed. A sluggard buries his hand in the dish, and he is too lazy to bring it back to his mouth. A sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 people who can answer discreetly. Let's break this down. First, a sluggard uses bizarre excuses to avoid work. In this case, he avoids even leaving his house with the absurd excuse that a lion is roaming loose. These extreme excuses to avoid work are ridiculous. They will use any kind of news to get him or her out of the work that needs to be done. Second, sluggers do not like to get out of bed. Sluggers are like a door turning on its hinges. The door moves, but it goes nowhere. So the sluggard tossing in bed seems to be an anchor, just like to the door to the hinges. He or she is going nowhere. Third, sluggers are too lazy to eat. Here is a picture of a lazy person that is starving because they are too lazy to feed themselves. He does not have enough energy to satisfy his hunger, so his arms and hands are unusable. Fourth, sluggards are filled with self-conceit. In his own opinion, he is wiser than any number of people that he knows. He thinks he has life all figured out and that he's chosen the wisest course of action because he's basically lazy. So a takeaway here is that lazy people have no valuable desires. The desire of a sluggard is simply to do nothing. What makes a sluggard is that he has no good desires. There is nothing worthwhile that motivates him to get out of bed in the morning. He is adrift in life and sees nothing desirable enough to work for. So the only hard work that he does is coming up with excuses not to do productive work. Proverbs 10:4 says, poor is the one who works with a lazy hand, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Proverbs 14:23 says, in all labor there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. So when I read these proverbs, I usually relate them to money. If you aren't lazy, then you'll be rich. But rich can mean a lot of different things. Rich in what? Rich in contentment, rich in satisfaction of a good day's work done, rich in knowledge. The ideas behind a lazy hand leading to poverty might not necessarily always mean financial. Being disciplined and being rich through your diligence could be a fruitful life, a meaningful life, friendships, hard work, contentment, satisfaction, learning something new, gaining knowledge. We were talking about this at Bible study and laziness and talking about what laziness actually means and looks like. And we started talking about the laziness of our minds. And in our culture today, it's very easy to be lazy of the mind. We're doom scrolling and just being fed information, just streaming and watching TV shows. And is that actually something that's going to be diligent and productive in our lives? And it was just something that I thought was a really good thought. Not being lazy doesn't mean you're out doing manual labor all day. There's so many different avenues and aspects of what laziness can look like. And you can be diligent in a lot of different ways that aren't necessarily physical, but mental as well. James 4:14 says, "Yet do you not know what tomorrow will bring? What is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away." Psalm says, "As for a man, his days are like grass. As a flower of the field, so he flourishes. The wind passes over it, and it is gone, and its place remembers it no more." Life is fleeting. There can be all kinds of ways we enrich ourselves that are not cashing in a dollar, but still are bringing us satisfaction. Being wealthy may bring money, but it doesn't always mean that someone is living an enriching life. Our diligence and hard work can be not being lazy of the mind, but pursuing knowledge, learning something new, helping and investing in others, reading instead of streaming, being actively engaged in our life and what's in front of you, taking the time to enjoy and invest in the season that the Lord has put you in. Remembering that your life will change, seasons will change, and life is short. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom." So friends, let's close this episode with 3 points to reflect on today. Is there an area of your life that pride is negatively affecting you and it's just kind of seeped in and gone unnoticed? Or is pride blinding you to a sin that's going on in your life? How can you start the journey of developing the discipline of self-control? Is there one specific area of your life you can apply this to and then build off of it? Are you investing in your heart, mind, and soul? And are you allowing your mind to be lazy and undisciplined? Well, thanks for listening, friends. Sorry it is just audio today, but I hope you still enjoyed it. I will not be doing a live garden tour tomorrow. I am actually helping a friend with the baby shower, so I have a lot going on this weekend, but I will be doing a formal garden tour, and I'll upload it either Saturday or Sunday so you still can see what's going on in the garden because there is a lot happening. We are hitting the time of the season where I have got to get to work. I can't be lazy. I've got to get up and diligent and tend to my garden. All right, friends, happy Friday. Thanks for listening. You're really an encouragement to me. I promise I'm going to be getting the Coffee and Conspiracy episode out soon. I've been working on it. It's written up. I just haven't filmed it yet. I'll give you one little teaser. Grass. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So, all right, friends, happy weekend. I'll talk to you soon.